Hello, Mike Gitig from Iodyne. I am the Senior Director of Media Entertainment. For those of you who are just meeting Iodyne for the first time and wondering who we are, let me tell you just a little bit about our company. Iodyne is a startup company, enterprise hardware and software engineers on the storage side, folks who have worked for many, many years in production and post-production, and creative technologists coming together to do something kind of interesting, really taking a different approach to storage and hard drives, focusing on the end user first, understanding what people are trying to do with drives, what they're trying to do with their data, how that data moves through from production to post, and then trying to develop products that actually solve real world problems. Our flagship product, the Pro Data, is really a device that's meant to be used from production all the way through to post. It's a 12 to 48 terabyte NVMe encrypted RAID that has multiple Thunderbolt inputs, so you can have up to 4 users, or you can have 1 or 2 users getting 5.4 gigabytes per second of read, or up to 2.4 gigabytes per second of write. So on the production side, what does that mean? That means extraordinarily fast ingest of all kinds of different camera cards that are secure and sustained. It also means being able to shuttle data to and from set very quickly, so making that duplicate copy and offloading it to whatever infrastructure you have on premises. Or if you're doing a higher end workflow that requires higher speeds or bandwidths, such as doing a proxy-free workflow, working with multiple streams of 8K or EXR playback, you can actually utilize a Pro Data to do up to 2 streams of EXR and up to 8 streams of 8K playback simultaneously on a single device. So if you're bottlenecking your SAN or your existing infrastructure, the Pro Data is a great device to put on the end and actually pretty much make your workflow efficient and doable. We've taken everything that we've learned with Pro Data and made it a lot smaller in the Pro Mini. So the Pro Mini is a 4 and 8 terabyte SSD. You're probably used to seeing these all over. They all look a lot like this. Where we start to differentiate is we're not just innovating on speed and capacity. So most of the time when you see an SSD, it's a new one, it's higher capacity, faster speed. Well, the problem with most SSDs is that they can't do much more than that because they consume a lot of power, and if they consume a lot of power, they get hot. And if they get hot, they get really slow. And so you have this problem of thermal throttling. Things slow down. And for some users, that's okay, but if you're in a post-production environment, you're doing effects, you're doing editing, you're doing something over the long term and multiple terabytes of data, thermal throttling is a real issue because 30 seconds to a minute in, when thermal throttling usually kicks in, that's when you're just getting started. And so we solved that problem in the Pro Mini. We're working with a company called Frore Systems. We have this incredible device inside. It's effectively a solid state cooling chip that allows for heat to be dissipated from the device in a really novel way without the use of a fan and without the use of a heat sink. What it also means is that we can allocate a lot more power to our device than any other SSD on the market, and we can effectively make this a smart device. And what we mean by a smart device is, in addition to sustained throughput speeds of over 3 gigabytes per second and full-time encryption that is always on, that maintains those full speeds, we have a 4 and 8 terabyte unit. We can then take that additional power and do some pretty cool stuff like you're looking at. We have an e-ink label that's fully customizable on the front of the drive. So if you work in a post house, you probably have a closet full of hard drives that you don't know what's on, you're not sure you can use. There's probably hundreds of them if you're in a big post house and maybe dozens if you're in a smaller. What's the problem? Well, the problem is you don't know what's on the drive the last time it was spun up, or if the client is going to want to access the data on it, and so they just grow and grow and grow. With the e-ink label, you can actually templatize this so that you can do it on a per project basis. It can have the name of the production on it. It can tell you how much capacity is left. And we have an NFC reader built into the drive that you can take the app on a phone, put it in front of the drive, and very quickly see metadata that you can custom allocate or custom attribute to know exactly what's on this drive. In addition to the e-ink screen that you're looking at, we have a system of fleet management that allows you to do some really interesting things with managing multiple or single units of the device. So fleet management allows you to know where your drives are at all times, know what project or person they've been allocated to do remote allocation and provisioning. So if you have multiple users and you want to assign drives to those users, you can actually do that remotely using fleet management. And you can also do some pretty cool things like auto-locking the drives if the device gets lost, putting a loss label so that if the device is lost, you can have a return to or a UPS label. Somebody can drop it in a shipping label or a shipping box and get it back to you. And you can also remote wipe a drive. So if the drive ever goes offset or goes missing, you can wipe it immediately. We firmly believe in reusability and repairability. So much like the Pro Data, which allows the end user to open the box, replace an SSD very quickly, Pro Mini is fully repairable and it's meant to be reused. It's a 3-year warranty, so if something goes wrong, we'll fix it for you, or you can fix it yourself. So one last cool thing about the Pro Mini is the fact that unlike a lot of SSDs that are single NVMe M2 stick, this is actually it's a bunch of drives that sit on a chip. So what that means is that we can actually configure this in something similar to a RAID 6. So there's redundancy built into your SSD, so there's not a single point of failure. You can go directly from an iPhone to this drive, you can go from a camera directly to this drive, or you can plug into a computer and the drive will actually dynamically allocate speed based on the interface that you're using. So if you're in Thunderbolt or if you're in USB 4, you're gonna get the full performance that's actually pretty far north of 3 gigabytes per second. If you're on USB 3, it'll dynamically level out, which means if you're doing a post workflow on the road, oftentimes on a smaller shoot, you might go to a hotel or go to an Airbnb afterwards. You can ingest the content much more quickly. You don't have to go into a proxy-based workflow. You can actually edit natively in whatever format you're in, get started faster, get finished faster, no drop frames, no issues, and actually deliver more projects. And what that means at the end of the day, we joke and we talk about getting more sleep. But if you're a big company, that means significantly saving dollars on time spent moving data around and having to go from one location to the other to do your job, doing things in parallel as opposed to sequentially, which is kind of the way that you have to do them today. And also, if you're a smaller company, it means getting to that job faster, turning things around more quickly, ingesting to edit to deliver much more quickly and frankly, much more easily. So that's Pro Mini. We're Iodyne. You can find out more about us at iodyne.com. We encourage people to reach out to us. We really thrive on user feedback. So if there's a piece of hardware or software that you're using that you really like us to make sure that we have a workflow design for, or you're looking for a way to make your workflow more efficient or optimal, just reach out to us. We love helping. So yeah, thank you so much for your time.